Hi guys and girls, Dan Prepper here, and today I want to do a video on, it's kind of an answer to a comment that I got on a video that I did, or a few days ago on the Colorado shooting. Um, Somebody came out and commented, and not mad at the person. I mean, I think we need to be able to have reasonable and rational discussions, and they made the point that uh, basically guns are part of the problem, and if we didn't have guns, the Second Amendment is outdated. We don't need guns. We don't need to have 5 guns or whatever. That's the number he threw out there. And if we didn't have guns, it's just harder for people to kill each other with forks and knives. Well, the problem with that is, and the problem with the entire premise of gun control, and I'm not going to say anti-gunners because I think that we throw terms around like that, gun nuts or anti-gunners. Well, listen, we're just people and we have the same set of facts. My facts don't change. You and I have the same facts if you're on the different side, on the other side of the aisle. The only difference is the way we interpret or look at the same facts. And we can't react with emotion or, just continue to say, this is what I think. Who cares what you think? Who cares what I think? What do the facts show? Presumably, the reason that somebody would want gun control, want to limit the amount of guns somebody had, or limit the types of guns that were available, or to take away guns altogether, to get rid of the Second Amendment. Presumably the reason is because they believe that it would lead to less murders. Who cares if it leads to less gun murders? Of course it would lead to less gun murders if they came and took all the guns from the United States so that only criminals had them. Of course there would be less gun deaths. The question is, would there be less deaths? Would there be less murders? Because if the murder rate actually goes up, then who cares how they're being murdered? The point of gun control seems to be this misconception that less guns equals less violent crime or a lower murder rate. And that simply isn't the case. It isn't borne out by facts. I am going to put links to 4 separate articles in the description and probably in annotations on here that you can look at for yourself. There was a book written by a man named John Lott, and he outlines in it with hard statistics the overwhelming evidence that more guns lead to less crime. Each one of these articles I'm going to show you, or I'm going to link to, make that point, that in every place where gun sales go up, where gun availability becomes easier, violent crime decreases. And the reason for that is criminals know that they can't, that there's no free lunch, or that there's at least a possibility that there's not going to be a free lunch, that they're not going to be able to walk up and assault you or stick you up or, come with a knife or a gun or fists or clubs or whatever it is, because they might meet with armed resistance. Criminals are looking for the path of least resistance. And if they believe that there is a reasonable chance that the person that they want to stick up is carrying a concealed weapon, they're not going to come up to that person. I wish we were all allowed to open carry, because I can guarantee you, if I was open carrying, nobody's going to try and rob me. That's just the facts of life. What kind of an idiot would try to rob somebody who's got a gun strapped to their hip? Not a very bright one, although criminals, in their defense of that, illogical move, criminals do go to prison, not Princeton, so they're not the smartest group of people in the world. So take a look at this link for John Lott's, an article on John Lott's "More Guns Equals Less Crime." Also, I'm going to link to a story titled "Virginia Gun Crime Drops as State's Firearm Sales Soar." And it shows, one of these articles is going to show the direct correlation between the availability of firearms and the availability of carrying a concealed firearm. A state becoming a shall issue state, which Illinois, if they ever get around to actually issuing them, is supposed to be a shall issue state coming up. And Illinois will probably see a decrease in violent crime, a decrease in murder rates, because there's not going to be a free lunch anymore. You know, the next article I'm going to link to is called "No Correlation Between Gun Control and Less Violent Crime." What we've seen in places like Australia, who have had, an entire essentially gun confiscation. They took all the guns back and everybody turned their guns in Australia. And what they saw was the murder rate and the violent crime rate actually increased. You know why? Because criminals don't care what laws you make. They're not going to turn the guns in because they're already doing something illegal. They are by definition not concerned with what the law says. They are criminals. So the only ones who are turning their guns in are law-abiding citizens who then become victims for the people that didn't turn their guns in. There is no, my gun is an inanimate object. Every one I have, an inanimate object, and it will sit there and do nothing, no more than a stone or a piece of wood until the end of time, unless I or somebody else picks that up and makes a conscious decision to do something with it, to do harm with it. The gun is not the problem. If we can't move past that, then we're just going to be stuck in this silly argument that an inanimate object, in this one case, not with bombs, we don't blame bombs, we blame bombers. We don't blame drunk drivers, we don't blame cars, we blame drunk drivers. There's no other instance except in this gun control debate where we blame the inanimate object for the crime that's committed with it. That's nonsense. And the last article I'm going to post here is called "More Guns Equals Less Violent Crime." Each one of these backs up with facts and statistics. And if you want to go online and just search yourself, you can look up just do a Google search for statistics for gun control and violent crime. And what you're going to find is that at best, there's no correlation between gun control and a reduction in violent crime. And in most cases, what you see is an increase in violent crime with tighter gun control. Now, people on the other side of this argument are always going to say, "Oh, look at Canada, they don't have." That's a cultural issue. Okay, we have a cultural problem, a basic lack of respect, just in our culture for human life. We don't value it. We don't. Canada could have all the guns they want, and they're not going to have the gun death rate that we have, because the problem isn't the gun. The problem is we have a cultural problem here in the United States where we just don't care about other people, and we don't care how we treat them, and we don't care what we do to them in large part, not all of us. But what that leads to is, whether it's a gun or a rock or a knife, people that don't care about taking human life for no reason, for a couple of bucks or, for the next high. And that's where we are. So check out these articles. Take some time to think about what I said here and read the articles and look up the statistics for yourself. And, I don't mind if you comment, you have a different point of view. That's fine. Just please be civil, and we can have a reasonable discussion about that. I'm Van Prepper. Happy shooting, guys.